great picks and ban strategies. They let Nemesis through. They got Susanoo in the beginning. Unfortunately, didn't really transition their early game lead because of the over-aggression after that speed buff invade.
Which is kind of, it's not okay, obviously, but it's kind of fine. With the Nemesis, you're shooting for the late game anyway, so wonderful stuff. I like seeing the frenzy and the Eagles rally coming together as well. Just seemed like a real top-down decision from the team coming out. We'll see if the same intelligence can be combined here as we get into picks and bans for game number 2.
This time it's going to be Sanguine with the first pick, first ban, and I like the patience the first game from Cyclone. They weren't deterred off of their early deficit. You know, they kept looking for the red buff invade. They found it the first time, didn't really get it the second or third time because of the nice plays from Murrdurr and Dodo to prevent them from finding that pathing, but they still were patient enough. They made the right relic decisions, and inevitably their team fights were just superior.
I wonder if we're going to see any big changes here. From Sanguine and Cyclone, honestly, the gameplay was the whole story for me. I don't think that there was any particular god that really stuck out. Like, we spent the biggest points that we've made during this broadcast were the Eagles Rally Frenzy, and you're not banning Bologna because of an Eagles Rally. And, well, you can't ban a Frenzy, but you're not going to even if you could.
Not at all, but we did see the reasoning behind it was to kind of shut down the Freya. The disarms was very impactful in these late game team fights. We saw we saw just how much damage that NBK did, and we didn't really see too much on the side of Arkkyl on the Freya.
No, he was controlled pretty much from minute 1, both in the lane and out when it came time to team fight. Arkkyl just wasn't really able to make it happen. He had a couple of kills, and you know where the kills came from if you really watch those team fights? The ultimates, more than actually fighting in the interim with the Pulse Irradiates. So the Freya, I don't think it really worked here. And Sanguine will get first pick, but keep an eye. Nemesis this time banned out.
And with Susanoo being banned on top of this, this means that we're going to see finally a different jungler between Nemesis and Susanoo. Raijin, though, going to be locked in for Sanguine. It worked out well for Cyclone the first game. Doesn't want to deal with it the second time around.
I mean, when it comes to Raijin, you just got to pick him. He's very strong. He has burst potential with options, an easy escape as well. Raijin just a wonderful character to go to. Bacchus and Jing from Cyclone. Colossus will play a very, very strong Bacchus.
So it's already a double knockup composition from Cyclone. On top of this, NBK was doing a good job with his rotations on the Jing. We saw him leave his left lane alone when Arkkyl was still pushing. He made the rotation towards speed buff, which is what allowed Cyclone to really shut down that speed buff invade. Arkkyl cannot keep up with the mobility from Jing.
Exactly. So Jing going to keep Sanguine guessing as Sanguine finishes up their first round of picks and bans. Raijin will be the mid lane of choice. Where else does Sanguine go, though?
I would say they need to pick up their jungler for sure and their support if they really want to find something. So more than likely it could be an Athena Thor combination, but
the Naja.
It's going to be the Naja. It's Cherryo.
Yeah.
And that's why he got respected banned the first game.
Naja with the Athena, so Sanguine will have a ton of setup for this Raijin burst damage coming out of the mid lane, and Cyclone will respond by taking some burst of their own and go the Vulcan direction.
Now the thing is about Naja Raijin, normally when you have that Naja pick, you want to have that burst right off the bat. Now, there's a lot of damage from Raijin, but it's over 4 hits. If the Purification or Sanctuary is available, you can squeeze in that Sanctuary in between those hits from the Raijin to limit the effectiveness of that ultimate.
Here is, I will pose you a problem, and you will tell me how important it is. Vulcan turret versus Naja ring.
That's pretty problematic, I would say, for a Cyclone.
So picking the Vulcan into the Naja, that's just going to open up that mid lane a little bit more. So got to keep an eye on that for where Sanguine's going to put their jungler. Cyclone get 1 pick now, and they're going to go with the Guan Yu. So a lot of sustain on the side of CycloneGG as Guan Yu will be the solo lane of choice.
Feeling very confident to go Guan Yu because it's going to be in the solo lane, and there's still a solo lane pick for Sanguine to find the counter matchup. You could have Amaterasu for the silence. You can go for a Bully Osiris or a Bologna trying to outpush the Guan Yu and look for kills. And just like that, it is going to be the Amaterasu because you can match the teamfight presence of Guan Yu with just your mobility aura and your attack damage aura. On top of this, you win the laning phase. Every time the Telesalt comes out, you just silence him, and then that's it.
And, you know, not for nothing, once everything starts happening and there's team fights, Apollo can also mez out Talo Assault as well from the Guan Yu. So a lot of options to deal with Guan's assault damage, but how does Sanguine deal with the sustain?
On top of the Guan Yu Talo Assault, now they have Brutalize onto Fenrir, which is going to get mezzed out, silenced out, taunted out. There's a lot of disrupts on the side of Sanguine to prevent these damage over time. You know, the burp is also channeling, so there's 3 channeling abilities from Cyclone that could easily get interrupted.
And at the end of the day, I'm just looking at Naja for Cherryo. You know, there's a reason that Naja gets banned and everybody sort of scratches their head, but hopefully Cherryo lives up to the name. And that's something else I want. Just let's dive into the player mentality real quick. All right, you get game 1, you get your god banned against you. Man, feels good. Game 2. How much pressure is on you to actually perform?
Well, looking at the picks and bans, they paired up this Naja with an Athena Raijin. So the plan from Sanguine is to force the purification from Athena and then allow Cherryo to find the easy-to-land ultimates to get somebody out of the game.
Because Cherryo here, I mean, worst case scenario. What happens if Cherryo just doesn't do anything? And then game 1, you'd sit there and, why'd you ban the Naja? Blah, blah, blah. So, I don't know. That's something that always came to mind when you get respect banned and then it's open later on in the series, is how do you respond with that?
I don't know, honestly. You just have to be able to take it for what it's worth against the Naja. We don't really see it from many players in the SPL, so the fact that Cherryo is still running it means that there's still a lot of credit to the god itself. It still does a lot of respectable damage if you can land those abilities.
And I mean, at the end of the day, I'm still a huge Naja fan. I think Naja can do a lot, both with damage coming out, obviously, but more importantly, the ultimate physically takes somebody out of the game for a couple of seconds. You can't really emulate that. Very few characters can do that same idea, and being able to capitalize off of the few seconds that Cherryo is able to choose somebody and ult them to the high heavens is a very important strategy for Sanguine.
Wlfy taking so much damage already, positioning himself to intercept those hits from Dodo now, and that's going to allow maybe the rotation from Sanguine's jungler to maybe look for a kill.
I mean, we'll take a look, but Cyclone going to be grouping up as 3 right here, and this is something that you love to talk about, Totally.
Yeah, so what happened there was Deathwalker, he started off teleport, he did blue to speed to mid harpies to allow the teleport immediately, hitting level 3 to get this advantage over Nika on Amaterasu. That's what you have to do whenever you have a deficit. Look for something else that you can at least get.
And Cherryo being aggressive from the start, aggressive onto Wlfy, just like you said. Maybe we'll see some aggression out of Cherryo.
Just separating himself away from Iceice, because that's what they want to do on Cyclone. Find the Fenrir Vulcan combination, but if you can isolate both of them away from each other and find your 2v1s onto Vulcan, 2v1s onto Fenrir, then now you control the presence. Look at this, Cherryo and Dodo able to push out this mid wave, and then they can look for the back left Harpies invades.
And that's likely what they'll do. Sanguine shifting over to left jungle. And yes, Cherryo will head to the back Harpies, looking for something to call his own.
Especially with the pressure from the dual lane of Sanguine, Murrdurr and Arkkyl could make the rotation. So Vulcan and Fenrir, they cannot keep up with this pressure. They have to stay in mid lane, find the wave, and at the same time, the MIA calls in the dual lane means that now iceicebabyy at least is able to find a return on the back right Harpy invade.
Exactly. So 1 for 1. You take mine, I take yours. Everything all even after it's all said and done.
And that should give Iceice maybe level 5 play. He's even going to sneak underneath and back left, but look at the rotation from Cherryo and Dodo.
Cherryo and Dodo are here, and Iceice sniffs it out and does walk away. But that would have been real big trouble, which is why we never see it. But here, only level 4 has a stun, no ultimate. Follow-up stun to Murrdurr, knock up, and the brutalized iceicebabyy puts Cyclone on the board very early on.
We talked about the disruption from these channeling abilities, but if you cannot stop the brutalized, then that's going to be a confirmed kill. Great knock-up. Meanwhile, Cherryo finding the stun onto Wlfy, but not being level 5 on the Naja, so there was no immediate threat to use that purification.
Right, we're just seeing the early game poke pretty much come out, and then once these characters hit 5, Naja now, level 5 certainly, I think we'll expect Wlfy to be a little bit more careful.
We see the rotation into Sol lane. Cherryo looking for a play onto Deathwalker. This will allow Nika to really start dominating the matchup. And I think the whole reasoning that Nika's not even further ahead is because of the start that Cyclone did with the blue to speed to mid Harpies.
Exactly. And you know, you get so excited. You've mentioned that one before. Why is that not the standard if it's just so impactful.
Losing your teleport that early in the laning phase could be problematic, though, because now you don't have... If you get bullied out, you have to walk back to lane, and that means you could potentially lose some minions under your tower in unforeseen circumstances. If the jungler ganks your lane, that's where it becomes trouble.
So with that in mind, you know, going up against the Amaterasu, that allows Deathwalker a little bit more... he feels safer going the blue to speed to mid, because Amaterasu is not going to bully you out anytime soon.
Not going to bully you, but going to prevent you from clearing the wave with her silence, and that's the big impact. The fact that Deathwalker got to the lane at level 3, whereas Nika was level 2, gives him all 3 abilities, so he makes it harder for Amaterasu to clear because he also now has the sustain.
Very important plays there in the solo lane. So it's a game of inches there in the solo lane. Our support group will group up, and right there, the ring bounce off of the Vulcan turret. Vulcan is a troublesome god when playing against Naja, or more often than not, the conversation is centered around Zeus. Any god that can bounce things off of targets, you know, that turret just becomes a liability.
Already, both junglers were trying to make plays onto the solo lane. We saw Cherryo earlier waiting, but great patience yet again from Nika. He recognized iceice was nowhere to be found, so playing so patiently and retreated to his own blue.
So mid lane, Wlfy, or TheDarkDodo rather, protected by Murrdurr here. iceice wanted to see what he could potentially pull off in the mid lane, but will be chased away.
I like the zoning from Deathwalker just to allow iceice to confirm the own Fire Giant Elementals. If Cherryo comes too close, he'll find the ring bounce, maybe snag, you know, 1 or more of those elementals.
Yeah, that's one of the things that hold that thought ultimate out of the dog, and there's the ultimate out of Vulcan over the top, and Murrdurr is taken out by Deathwalker.
Great rotation from Deathwalker, finding the chain crowd control stunt.
Wonderful
and
rotation.
Allowed Wlfy to find the damage onto this Athena. After the taunt, immediate response, Ragnarok, no hesitation.
And you know, I was just about to bring that up with respects to Naja. Naja's a character that can really just make things happen in an instant. A quick ring bounce, a quick ultimate, and somebody's dead. Well, Fenrir can do the same thing. All of a sudden, you just in this mouth, you don't have purification, and everything is coming at you. Wlfy was able to bring that target down from 90% to 10.
Didn't even have any time to really use the meditation. That was just pure damage, pure control coming out of Cyclone. And with that early first blood being credited to iceice, he could potentially look for a power spike play, getting Jotun's Wrath earlier on.
You know, we see the boost come out from early.
I like this play on the solo lane. We see Deathwalker unfortunately having some connection issues, but Nika doing a good job preventing Deathwalker from running into his tower by body blocking him. That's some great sportsmanship.
Sure. I say play to win. I'm the old guy. I say play to win. I say whatever, but Deathwalker not having connection issues any longer. We'll head into his own jungle.
I give him a golf clap for that one.
Good for you.
Golf clap.
I say play to win. This is the SPL, man.
Now, you gotta have some kind of, like, even though you don't respect solo lanes by, you know, not letting them to back, but whenever there's a connection issue, that's the worst feeling in the world. So just great play. I respect that a lot out of Nika.
I mean, you gotta win. You want, every player wants to win the game by winning the game naturally, right? Not off of.
You don't want to get like a free win that just it gets almost discredited. There's an asterisk next to that win. It's like, okay, you guys won, but like, would you have won if this didn't happen?
Is there an asterisk next to that prize pool? That's my question. Cyclone going to start up the Gold Fury. No asterisk on that. Half HP on the objective, and it'll be leashed as soon as Sanguine shows up.
We see the rotation from Nika. Deathwalker's teleport is available, so he's going to be very patient now. Nika's still around here, which means there has to be a little alarm from Deathwalker. He has to teleport right now.
And with Sanguine 5 men deep here, this is a full commit. I fully expect them to go hard. Cherryo does some zoning, and the ultimately goes the way of Sanguine. So the fight committing now on Cyclone's terms. Grabbed up in the mouth is a target, and the ultimate coming down is going to be Murrdurr. That's dead. So you trade your support for the Gold Fury. I'm feeling fine.
So far, so good, but the question is, what are they going to get on top of that one support kill? iceice still looking aggressive. He could potentially find Dodo. Going to have to go defend his own red buff. Wlfy and iceice going to start it up. And in the mid lane, we also see Cyclone putting pressure onto the tower. Looks like red buff was picked up from iceice, so a successful invade. They found the red, they found the support kill. They don't really find the tier 1 mid tower, but they're finding the farm that they need to.
And it's very important that the play was made on that tier 1 mid tower. Now, Cyclone weren't looking to, if Sanguine gave them a tier 1 tower, sure, they'd take it. But Cyclone was just putting pressure on the mid tier 1 tower, less about taking it in actuality and more about the jungle invade. By putting pressure on multiple parts of the map, Sanguine can't respond to all of them, so take your pick. Either you're going to give us a tower or you're going to give us a buff. Which one would you prefer?
It's all about the tactical maneuvering. Whenever you can pull some members away and then force them to look at a different way while you sneak something from behind their backs. So just great overall play response from Cyclone. And now Sanguine, they're grouping up around the speed and blue buff of Cyclone. They want to find a response of their own.
Yeah, Sanguine understand they need, the last time around that Cyclone were able to stay into it because Sanguine one step at a time, and then Cyclone came out from behind and snuck it away. So Sanguine now, Cyclone are the ones really setting the pace of this game. Cyclone are the ones with 3 kills on the board. Sanguine have yet to really respond.
Now, we haven't talked about this dual hunter matchup quite yet. Arkkyl 1 level behind NBK, as well as not finishing off his warrior tabby, so that could be a potential little power play for NBK to try to exploit, but the issue is you always have to worry about this Athena that can ulti on top of her.
Just like how when you're against a Neath, you're never at 100% HP. When you're against an Athena, you're never alone. Murrdurr can always show up in the nick of time and is able to either start a team fight, end a team fight, just sort of stand there, whatever it may be. You're never alone with an Athena on the map.
And now both hunters getting their tabbies, getting the beginning of their Ichabal, trying to find that little power spike. Speed buff going to get started by Cherryo. We see Iceice lingering around the corner with Kalas.
Yeah, there's a lot of Cyclone presence around here. Cherryo able to get his buff, but Cyclone want to fight it, look like. Bacchus able to find a burp, and well, that'll be that. But Wlfy up in the ultimate, a little bit too soon. Cherryo's going to come down, and that's only going to be 1 or 2, but it's all that's needed. And Nika's able to combine and take out the support.
It was great zoning from Nika. He used his own ultimate to get everybody away to not allow any sort of assistance to Kalas. He was caught completely out of position. He didn't even get off time to use the shell. Yet again, we see these supports, they die before they even have an opportunity. And now Cherryo, he doesn't have his ultimate, he doesn't have a stun, and that a lot of poke in return.
Yeah, I mean, that'll send Cherryo back to base, but, you know, right there, DarkDodo, he went into the ultimate before Cherryo. Like, that was not a good play, but it was good enough, and that's all you need sometimes. Missed timing doesn't matter. There's a finite amount of HP on the target.
Found the kill, and that's all they're going to do, just reset. They got their own speed buff. They walked away very cleanly. So now it's going to be very dependent if they can find anything additionally. Wlfy with the purification being burned, and this is what you want. Have Murrdurr burn the purification for Cherryo to find the easy target after. Once that ultimate comes up, you're definitely going to expect him to go onto Wlfy.
Yeah, VoteNBK just used the ultimate there to get away from trouble from the Apollo, Arkkyl, who's been rather quiet today. Honestly, hunters, we saw the Freya not really work out, and Arkkyl on the Apollo now.
Which is surprising to me because I've seen these players play before and they've been normally aggressive for the most part. I think their most favorite god is on her from what I've seen, where they will go for these kinds of trades and pokes and stuff, but switching up their style, I have to give it to them. You definitely want to be able to kind of not allow the enemy to read you, right? You don't want to be aggressive every game.
Yeah, you don't want to be predictable. There's a fine line between nurturing your team's identity and winning because of that, like we see out of teams like Paradigm comes to mind, where the Lobster and the boys have a very specific type of gameplay, right? Zelia picks weird things in the solo lane, and you nurture that identity. Pain of Beyond nurtures the identity of enemy top-down shot calling. But at the same time, you have to balance that sort of team identity versus being too predictable.
Which is what makes the teams evolve throughout the splits. Even in the middle of splits, sometimes the teams just automatically form a new identity with different picks and ban strategies, different counter pick ban strategies, you know, denying Cherryo and Naja, and then all of a sudden they decide a second game like, hey, do you really have a Naja? Let's see it.
Just sort of daring the Cherryo pick, and Cherryo goes for it. And so far, it's been okay.
So far.
I choose my words carefully. It's been okay. Nothing too extravagant, nothing too terrible, just okay.
It hasn't been too impactful. They could be seeing some more defenses coming on the side of Cyclone. Wlfy are going to get started, however. Members from Sanguine, they really need to get in position. It's getting really low.
Yeah, and Deathwalker, DarkDodo through the wall trying to confirm it, and he will not. Cyclone able to take it out, and Arkkyl down from the sky, taking out VoteNBK. Cherryo with the rotation to the right will stop Collis, but Collis still alive for the moment, finally taken down by Arkkyl.
So this is the difference between these two teams. We saw Sanguine getting the goal fear earlier on. They only lost Murrdurr, but this time, losing the goal fear, they find Callus and NBK, and now they can respond with a tier 1 tower. They can keep on going even for the tier 2.
And that's exactly what they're going to do, Toli. Murrdurr leading the charge, Deathwalker taunted in, and a bunch of damage being put on top of him, but from around the bend comes the Fenrir, grabs DarkDodo, but he's punished instead. iceicebabyy dies, and DarkDodo is alive.
Just not enough damage. Deathwalker was getting zoned away. It was only the Fenrir, and now with the respawn, or not the respawn, but coming back from the fountain was Wlfy. He was not in position to really follow up off the Ragnarok. Tier 2 falls, and now Sanguine. They respond beautifully in kind, and they limit their losses.
Inching forward in the lead is Sanguine. They've got about 2,000 above their opposition Cyclone now, with a small amount of kills. And again, Cherryo making the important play on the Naja, finding the stun onto Deathwalker with the long-range sash. All these smart plays are very important to Sanguine's lead so far.
It was beautifully set up too by Dodo and Arkkyl. Now they had the sneak from Dodo between their own sentry ward going from the left side mid harpies, and as a result, all those shots from the ultimate set up the Gold Fury being low, as well as hitting NBK at the same time. That ultimate from Arkkyl was just perfect.
Wlfy will watch as his team continues the buffs, and here at almost 15 minutes in, we've got a pretty even game here. Sanguine slightly ahead, but honestly, this one can go in either direction. Cyclone earned game 1 in pretty much a similar fashion. These two teams are neck and neck, and game 1 was neck and neck pretty much all the way till the end.
I would say, even though Cyclone are behind, they still have the tools to win team fights. As long as it lasts a little lengthier in time, Deathwalker's sustain is going to keep everyone from Cyclone topped off, as well as the long-range poke from Wlfy that can easily knock somebody in an awkward position.
Cyclone now watching out for Sanguine's rotation to the right-hand side. I don't think anybody's going to be starting the Fire Giant anytime soon, but Cherryo certainly wants to make his name known around the blue buff. Ultimate will be purified out. Fantastic reaction by the guys on Cyclone, and DarkDodo is able to confirm the kill on the iceicebabyy.
Not having his purification available from Dodo's ultimate, the taunts were just too strong to deal with. iceicebabyy 2 levels behind and struggling. He could have used his Ragnarok to prevent the CC chain, and now NBK feeling confident, trying to land those in-hands, but were not successful. But he's still trying at least.
I liked Arkkyl. Arkkyl kind of dodging and weaving. Sometimes that gets you into trouble because you could just outrun the hunter, but instead coming back in using the mez to create some distance.
Murrdurr gonna be touchily looking for a dash taunt onto Deathwalker. There's a minion wave and it's only Deathwalker, and he's forced it into the ultimate just to buy himself enough time because Callus is coming from the back end.
And he gets the stun onto Murrdurr, the belly flop as well. Intoxicate. Can the tower secure it? It won't. So Deathwalker gonna have to put on his gloves and try to do it himself, but the sprint is good enough to put Murrdurr far away from the enemy.
And left-hand side, NBK gets a tier 1 tower away from Arkkyl. It's going to be a boxing match. A nice little dash away, having the minions to his advantage, the ultimate doing a little bit, but he cannot go through the wall, and that Athena ultimate should secure the kill.
You're never alone when there's Athena in the game. Nika going to show up and...
You can't outrun Amaterasu.
Nope. Couple of basics.
It's not happening.
In fact, just one basic. And Nika able to take out VoteNBK.
And now Arkkyl in the sky. They have a 5-on-4. They're going to land on Wlfy. He doesn't have that much mana. Just has to watch out for the meatball. Doesn't want to commit with a dash.
And there's the taunt onto Ice, who's taken to the sky from Cherryo. There's the setup. Following up is a Vulcan ultimate. That's on the other side. And DarkDodo able to take out iceicebabyy.
Now I understand why Sanguine picked this Naja combination with the Raijin. They finding the taunts. After there was just no purification, they're using that Naja ultimate. There's just nowhere to go for whoever comes back down because they're constantly getting pulled in from Dodo's ultimate.
Yeah, it's just devastating. You have too much control in the Athena, and coupled that on top of the Cherryo coming down onto Raijin ultimate. I mean, it just puts Cyclone in a spot where, how do you get out of that?
Finding the kill onto Ice, but still a small respawn timer because he is level 12. He's struggling though. He's 4 levels behind Cherryo. You don't want to have...
He's level 12?
Yeah, these two junglers, they're very dependent about being ahead. Arkkyl gonna get chased down by Deathwalker. Rotation from Wlfy on the back end. Just not enough distance because of the Amaterasu passive movement speed, outrunning the horse.
Nika gonna show her face as Cyclone is dancing around the Gold Fury.
Still wanting to look for it. Red buff going to get picked up by Dodo. They're going to try to burn some beads with Murrdurr to set up the Cherryo Dodo combination, which has been working so brilliantly. So they don't really have to change anything.
Sanguine gets Callus right before he goes ahead and jumps over the wall. He finally will, but loses about 25% of his HP for it.
Ring bounces off the turret, poking out the members from Cyclone. Now Sanguine, they're going to continue to look for an engage. With Callus being this low, this is a good opportunity to fight. But Gold Fury, just taken.
Just taken. Murrdurr shows up and does the zoning himself. Excellent job out of Sanguine, pushing themselves 5K in the lead and pushing the team fight as well, Tolly.
And now the Vulcan ultimate, unfortunately. Great ultimate from Cherryo, going to knock up Ice to disengage. Callus jumping over the wall, but Thunder Crash from Dodo. Solo is Callus. He's going to be the first victim.
Sanguine are not done. You can see they want to keep pushing. Dodo's able to finally take down Callus. There's the dash forward from the Amaterasu, and the counter initiation coming out from Guan, but just a little bit too late. VoteNBK takes out Cherryo, and Ice answers back by taking out Arkkyl.
Nika's going to chase down Wlfy on the left-hand side. Great use of relics so far. Nice little knockup from NBK. Going to be able to chase down Dodo with Deathwalker, and this is where the sustain from Deathwalker really shines. This is why Cyclone have 3 members strong and Sanguine with only 1.
If this is a different if this is not Guan, you don't see this grouping up of Cyclone right now. You see everybody back and buy some items, but since it's Guan, you can see Cyclone march up this mid lane and even take a tier 1 tower.
Another issue for Cyclone, or rather Sanguine, was the fact that they used the Raijin ultimate very early in that engagement. They used it only on the Guan and I think Callus a little bit, and that didn't really allow them to find the kill onto Deathwalker. Like we mentioned, this point in time, the Spirit's Robe is enough defense for Deathwalker to eat all those shots and then sustain off of it. Can we look at the healing on Deathwalker real quick?
Sure. Too much to handle, and look at that, 10,000 healing.
20 minutes. It's only going to get higher from here.
It's intense.
That could be in another, 5 minutes. That could increase by 5,000.
So Cyclone start chipping away at this lead that Sanguine was able to obtain earlier on. Now, only down to about 2,000 gold. Cyclone are trailing. And I think they've got the momentum. They're certainly in the driver's seat right now. Despite being down 2,000 gold, I think Cyclone are in a position to really make some plays here, Tolly.
They're just waiting for the right opportunity. If Sanguine are going to keep overcommitting like the way they did and forcing the issue, then they just want this kind of a long team fight. They're going to be waiting for the right opportunities. They have the triple knockups between Vulcan, Bacchus, and the Jing, so they're waiting for the aggression from Sanguine.
And Sanguine's going to go ahead and give it to them. Except it'll go the direction of the Fire Giant, already half HP. Cyclone now trying to come in, still zoning is everybody else on Sanguine. Deathwalker is just trying to find his way in, but Nika already found his way deep. Wlfy in some trouble, half HP, but still Sanguine not really full committing onto this team fight just
Cherryo
yet.
missed his ulti and missing the stun. This is a botched engage from Sanguine, and NBK doesn't care. He doesn't need to be in this team fight. He just casually split push to the left.
Exactly. Sanguine they're going to be kept here, and now they have to fight because NBK is going to go for the Phoenix. Wlfy, half HP, jumping up and down his Callus and finds the knockup on Nika, but it's not enough. Wlfy still trying to avoid some damage, tossing out the ultimate while dealing some as well. TheDarkDodo picks up a kill and he's low, but will survive. And all the while, the left side Phoenix drops.
Great job so far from Wlfy, buying enough time. Callus in position to set him up. iceicebabyy is barely able to run away. NBK rotates back, finds Nika, pose in the sky though. He lands onto Ice, gonna go for the double onto Wlfy.
And very important plays coming out here in the late game. Murrdurr being chased down. A couple of players here. VoteNBK finally puts one down and takes out the support. There's a knockup, and now it's a 2-on-2, Tolly. This is a tough fight.
Yes, it is. That's going to be another kill for Arkkyl. A third kill. They lost their left side Phoenix, but they're winning the team fight, and now that's going to be Callus dead. That's all 5 members gone from Cyclone.
Now, different story. Last time around, we saw this type of surprise team wipe. We saw the team just go directly into the tight room and win it. Not enough players here, I think, to see that sort of oopsie-daisy game. not enough players. I think you need one player more in order to really seize the base on a whim like that. So instead, Sanguine will take their lead and their win and go for the Fire Giant.
And Deathwalker's here to disrupt the Cherryo, gonna get knocked down. They do secure the Fire Giant, but they have to be able to not lose too many members. Arkkyl, with the Athena ultimate, they could potentially chase this down, but they have to respect Ice around the corner.
And I think this is more of a defensive Athena ultimate than anything else, totally. Athena just showing up and say, hey, I'm here, I can taunt if you need me to. Just leave my guys alone, we'll go back to base. That's what Sanguine does. Fire Giant in tow.
I wouldn't be surprised. So here's what's probably going to happen, right? Cyclone, they have to push out left. Or I'm sorry, Sanguine have to push out left to deal with the Fire Maidens. And I think NBK is just going to split push right to deal with it.
I mean, that's what he did last time. He just split push left to deal with it, right?
And it worked out. He got a Phoenix in return. He found a double kill. Unfortunately, after finding another kill onto Murrdurr, he wasn't able to win the 2v2 onto Arkkyl. The crit was just too much to really handle.
Gold Fury started up by the guys on Cyclone. Sanguine really not available here, and that's going to be the Gold Fury falling, still being attacked, leashed, and there's an ultimate onto Wlfy. Nika might be punished for it, but right now, as Arkkyl shows up, I don't think so. DarkDodo is able to put down Wlfy.
And that's a great rotation, utilizing the ultimate from Arkkyl, utilizing the Thunder Crash from Dodo. This is the grouping up that you really need to start seeing out of Sanguine to close this game out. You cannot allow Cyclone to force these 5-on-5 fights with this Guan Yu.
So keep on down this lane, Sanguine. Pick up a tier 1 tower, that'll be 500 gold for them. And as they progress on to a tier 2, maybe we see the Phoenix fight, or do you expect them to go to the other tower?
Well, Ice has stolen the speed buff on the right, not really wanting to commit for the tier 2 tower siege. It's not a level 15 Fenrir that needs to be split pushing. It's the level 20 Jing that would be better opted for that situation. So as a result, it's going to be a defense hold attempt, at least by Cyclone. But Sanguine, they're not pulling the trigger quite yet.
Exactly.
They want to go for the gold here. They only have a 3,000 gold lead, right? They have Fire Giant buff for another 2 minutes, so they have enough time to get more gold back and buy, and then go for some Phoenix Sieges.
And there's the uncontested Gold Fury that'll push Sanguine even further into the lead. There's about 5,000, like you said. Nice, clean, and even. And with 15 kills to Cyclone's 10, Sanguine will go ahead and back to base as a unit, buy their last, what could be their last items, and then siege up a lane.
They're also worried about the potential threat of a split push on right-hand side, so the fact that they didn't commit to left side keeps their options available to also spot out the rotations. This gives them enough timing to drop some wards on the Fire Giant side. We're going to have Arkkyl go on the left because of his global presence. He wants to be the one to defend because that Phoenix is about to respawn.
So he'll keep an eye on both Phoenixes, both his oppositions and his own, for sure. But for right now, it seems to be a large grouping in the right lane. Naja, Athena, and the Cherryo.
They want to be able to get that last tier 2 tower before they really commit to the Phoenix and the Titan siege. Making the Titan that much weaker is what actually allowed Cyclone to find the easy, well, not the easy one, but the guaranteed win off of that. Only, I think Cherryo was the only one alive.
Cherryo was the only one alive. And for a moment, it looked like Cherryo might have been able to distract, honestly, the guys from Cyclone. They were targeting him instead of the Titan. I was having problems with it totally. But ultimately, Cyclone are able to take out the Titan despite Cherryo's best efforts.
Sanguine not wanting to commit with a split push because Jingwei can easily just hold on to her own, and they wasted the Fire Giant long enough. They didn't really get much out of it. They didn't even get the tier 2 on the right. So getting themselves a little bit of a 5,500 gold lead at the 26-minute mark. This still allows CycloneGG to really fight into them on the next Fire Giant respawn.
Sanguine now trying to find something to do with their 5,000 gold lead. Like you said, they're just sort of postulating. They're trying to figure out what their next move is. Fire Giant's down, Gold Fury's down. So Sanguine, they understand that they're ahead 5,000 gold here at Anatoly, and if they make a move, Cyclone can answer back, and that could be just devastating. Sanguine are so far in the lead that they can auto-win off of a team fight, which is the problem. And in fact, it was so much the problem in game number 1, Cyclone won on the reverse of it. So that's why we're seeing Sanguine, I think, be a little bit more cautious here.
I was surprised, though, they didn't go for a 5-on-4 power play after they picked off Wlfy around the Gold Fury, honestly. But now they're going to force out the Magai's Blessing from Callus with a nice stun. They taunt onto Callus, but going to knock him up into the sky. It's going to be dependent if Dodo wants to commit with his ultimate.
And look who's at the bottom. It's Dodo with his ultimate. That'll take take out Kalas. Now Ice jumps over the wall on the left side, but still followed up. And VoteNBK and Deathwalker here as well. There's the silence onto Deathwalker. Cherryo and TheDarkDodo are here as well. There's the ultimate out of the Fenrir, and Ice just gets chunked out. Half HP for Fenrir, below that for Deathwalker, and Nika will be safe. However, the Mean Phoenix can't say the same about that. It's gonna fall.
And with Kalas still dead for 15 seconds, Fire Giants has respawned. With that power play, they're gonna look to put pressure on it. They could also set up some ambush plays. They have a decent amount of wards around the Fire Giant, so they should be able to look for another dash taunt if Cyclone decides to commit.
And that's a big if, Anatoly, because sure they have to defend their mid lane, but how? Well, it's already done. It's already gone.
The damage from Naja and Apollo this late in the game is too much. Ice doesn't have purification. He's going to get mez. They're going to force out the Sanctuary. Naja ultimate off the mark. Great jump from Ice.
Yeah, just completely reading that Naja was going to ult there, making sure not to get hit by a very important play out of the jungler for Cyclone. Tier 2 tower falls, and Cyclone now on the offensive, it looks like.
They have the 5-on-5. Kalas has respawned, founding a nice double knockup with their rotation from Deathwalker, diving into the back. They're going to commit all in.
And TheDarkDodo staying all the way back, making sure not to get his hands too dirty. Arkkyl, on the other hand, going right up into it, getting a kill right away. Great taunt. Arkkyl up in the sky, trying to figure out where to land. He'll land on the support. Kalas jumps forward, but the damage is done. TheDarkDodo gets the kill.
And they're going to continue onto this right side. Wlfy caught in an awkward spot. Nice little ultimate, forcing out double sanctuaries, and he's forced one of his own. Going to be able to try to find the kill with some nice body blocking. Murrdurr credited with that one.
3 players are down for 30 seconds, Tony.
That's it.
This game is going to happen the same way game 1 went. A just flood team fight where players just sort of accidentally fall over, and then the Titan just gets rushed. This time, it goes to Sanguine.
Just great play overall between these two teams. They're so even. We saw in the first game just back and forth action. Second game, back and forth action. And like you mentioned before, the same exact results. Just finding that last team fight win was so important for Sanguine to find the split.
Yeah, you know, we watched 2 games worth of players just jockeying for position, not literally, but figuratively in the sense of gold, right? Just back and forth, the lead being being passed, and then eventually the Titan falls. Just very honestly fun, evenly matched smite.
It was all about the Wlfy as well for these two teams, being able to sneak some of them. We saw, I think it was Arkkyl earlier on around the Wlfy that was able to make this play to find the kill onto MBK with the ultimate from the side onto Dodo, setting him up.
Yeah, you mentioned the importance of landing right exactly where he did to find multiple targets with the ultimate and then clean players up as well later on.
And Arkkyl finding, more importantly, the kills after the split push from NBK. That little skirmish is what allowed them to find that deicide, and they were able to get the Fire Giant immediately after.
Exactly. So just making sure when these kills come into play is very important. You have to time your aggression, time your kills, and then time your wins. So a nice even split down the middle. We do have somebody on the line for an interview. It's going to be Nika. Congratulations on your 1 win today. How you feeling today, bud?
Hey guys, yeah, we're feeling good after that. Kind of disappointed it was only a split, but improving every week.
So Sanguine is a new organization, both new in general, new to Smite, and new to you as well. What can you tell us about Sanguine?
They're great guys. We've spoken to them a lot, and the contract process was over really quickly because we managed to both agree on terms that we were really comfortable with, and we're really enjoying representing them this month.
So talk to me about your first game strategy that you had with the solo lane pick that you guys went for.
Well, I prefer playing the late game characters who are more influential in team fights, such as Tier, Amma, Guan, etc. So, and it was a good matchup for the Tier against the Bologna, so the whole point of the pick was just to do well in mid game and then dominate the late game team fights, but unfortunately we made like 1 or 2 mistakes which cost us the game.
Did you guys get caught off guard with a Frenzy pick onto the Bologna?
No, we realized that. But the FG burst really surprised us.
Yeah.
Like we were not aware that they would burst this so fast with the Frenzy.
Yeah, a ton of burst coming out from that Frenzy strategy, the guys across the way. But you guys, Sanguine, you've been interesting to me personally for earlier, last split, and now this split. What's the biggest difference, do you think, for your team as you guys have matured from the spring split now into the fall split, looking towards Super Regionals?
Last split was just more of a learning split, but this split I'm like more confident with how I'm playing. I'm pretty sure it's the same for Arkkyl. And overall the team stayed similar because Badger and Murrdurr are similar styles of players, leaders, and I don't know, I'm really happy with the team at the moment and things are going well.
I mean, that's really the best answer you can ever get to that question is, you know, you're really enjoying it and you're happy with the team. At the end of the day, that's exactly where you need to be. And where is Sanguine going to wind up? How do you expect to end this fall split, Nika?
Okay, well, for the split we underperformed, and that's obvious by the results, but we are very confident that we can perform at LAN, and we know that we can get to Super Regionals if we play how we can.
Perfect. Any shout-outs before we let you go?
Yeah, got a few. So shout-outs to Sanguine, obviously. Great sponsor so far. Shout-outs to Sanjo, Merl, and Luna, who've been helping us out like behind the scenes with scrims and coaching us as well. Shout-out to Cherry's God Pool. Gotta love the nausea. And lastly, shout-outs to Sophie.
Awesome. Thank you very much. That is Nika.
Thank you.
The solo laner for Sanguine. You know, I liked how we asked him a lot of questions about his gameplay and the team's gameplay and where we expect them to wind up. And really the major driving force that I heard behind him and what he was saying about the team was that, listen, we're happy about the team. We're excited to go forward, and all we're doing is really looking towards the future.
Just great political answer, I would say. Nika, he's very confident in his role, but he's not like overconfident, or at least it's not showing off of that one interview. He's just playing his role that he needs to, like he mentioned before, you know, playing the tier to try to find the counter matchup and still doing his work.
Well, it's been a fun set, honestly. Two evenly matched teams going at it. We've got 2 more European games coming to you right here on hi-rez TV, so don't move. We'll be back in a few.